So we've said before that it's safe to say that most Americans are not happy. How do we know that? It's a shock to Ken, who's ecstatic 24/7. But for most Americans, they are. We gave examples. We mentioned once the book called The Final Exit, which is on the New York Times bestseller for 9 weeks in a row. For those of you who don't know, the book Final Exit is a book of how to commit suicide. There's more antidepressants sold in the United States than any country on the planet. Safe to say that there are indicia of the fact that people are not happy. Gemara says in Tainus very clearly, we enter the month of Adar, specifically Purim. This is a time that we accentuate joy and true happiness. There's got to be a connection between Purim and the true concept of happiness. What is it? So if you look at every single Jewish holiday, you'll notice something that's very interesting. There's no open miracle in Purim. There's no splitting of the Red Sea. There's no jar that was found that could only last a day and was consumed by it. But at the end of the Purim story, it's very, very clear that there's a director, there's a producer in the world, that everything is being directed for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and L'Toiva, for our good. So if you look at all of the research, there's no more sense of true happiness than living a life of meaning, living a life of purpose, and knowing that we're in this world for a reason. So there's a story that's told of a person who was incarcerated for 20 years. And the warden told the person who was incarcerated that there's a lever, and I want you for 3 hours a day to turn that lever, and you should know that lever is attached to a huge pipe, and at the bottom of that pipe there's a huge well, and what you are doing, you're mixing these tremendous crystals into water that's feeding thousands of people. So every single day, this prisoner, 3 hours a day, was turning that lever. The end of his sentence arrived 20 years later, and he went to the warden and he just said, at least let me get a sip of the water. For 20 years, I've been. And the warden said, you come with me, and he showed him that handle went through the wall and was attached to nothing. On the spot, he had a heart attack and died. The concept of living a meaningless life is impossible for us to fathom. The concept of Purim is that not only is there meaning, but it's being directed by the Almighty who loves us. There's one final look as to why Purim is a sense of happiness. We live in a generation that's the I generation. iTablet, iTunes, The concept of Purim is about giving. The highest form of happiness of Sipuk is making somebody else happy, is giving, because we're being like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the antithesis of Halloween. Halloween, people come and they hit you up. At Purim, we go and we give. So Bezra, we should keep this in mind, that happiness, that we are part of a small percentage of the world population that knows why we're here, that has the GPS for why we're in this world. Bezra, we should take the happiness of Purim, it should spill over to the rest of Adar, for the rest of the year, and for the rest of our lives.